Hi my spoopies, it's Kaylee, and today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about Tess Holliday, the F Your Beauty Standards movement, and all the drama that has gone on with it recently, and why it has made me decide that I don't really want to have anything to do with Tess Holliday, and I don't think she is a good representative for the body positive movement. And I know I'm really late to the party on this, like other people have done videos and stuff. I just felt like, since this is something that, you know, used to be kind of a big deal to me, I thought I could go ahead and put my 2 cents in there. So if you don't know who Tess Holliday is, she is probably the most popular / famous plus size model in the world right now. She is the first plus size model of her size to be signed to a major modeling agency, and she has also kind of built her fame and her reputation around being a body positive role model. And she created the F Your Beauty Standards brand, I guess, and basically what that stands for is basically the same thing that the body positive movement stands for, that F society's beauty standards and just be happy with your body and yourself no matter what size or shape or whatever you are. In 2014, Tess designed and created some F Your Beauty Standards merchandise, mostly t-shirts, and she began pre-selling them for $40. Tess justified the cost of the t-shirts by saying that they were made of the highest quality materials, that she was making sure she could get manufacturers who would make sizes from size, small up through size 4X, and also because she was going to be donating a significant amount to a domestic violence charity, which was a cause very close to her heart because she and her mother were both victims of domestic violence. However, hundreds of fans never received their merchandise, and until December of 2015, no charitable donation was ever made to any domestic violence organization. Now, when all this stuff started going on and the controversy around people not receiving their merchandise and Tess blocking people who were trying to talk to her about not receiving their merchandise or just trying to figure out what was going on, I kind of didn't want to believe it because I was one of the people who did kind of embrace Tess and look up to her as a role model. I followed her from back when she was called Tess Munster and she just started out modeling, basically. I was like blown away that someone my size that had a body similar to mine was modeling and doing all these really fun, incredible things. So I really embraced her, and I don't know, obviously since I didn't know her personally, but I knew about her F Your Beauty Standards movement and everything, I thought she was a really cool person and I kind of looked up to her. I actually wanted to buy one of these F Your Beauty Standards shirts because the design's really cute, it's really cool. But I could not at the time afford a $40 t-shirt, no way. I was working retail part-time and making minimum wage. Yeah, I guess someone who isn't living a glamorous lifestyle can join this, movement. So when all this stuff started happening, I kind of didn't want to believe it. I kind of wanted to think, it's just people getting really upset about stuff getting lost in the mail, which happens all the time. It's, people being haters and latching on to whatever they can to, bring Tess down. But then I read, the infamous interview where Tess said, a really racist comment, and I was kind of like, okay, bitch, check yourself, right? Because it's like there I started to kind of question her integrity as a person, especially not so much her actions, because I don't believe that a person does something bad or questionable and then they're a bad person forever. I believe if a person recognizes that they did something, messed up, and then takes steps to correct it, that's forgivable. We all make mistakes. It's important that you learn from them is the thing. But the way Tess reacted to people checking her for making a racist comment, she basically issued a sorry you were offended kind of apology, which is bullshit, and then she basically excused herself by saying oh, I'm not racist, I could never be racist because I have black friends and and there were black people present on the shoot, so how could I be racist? Which again is just ridiculous. So anyway, around the time all this controversy over the shirts were going on, there were 2 Facebook groups founded that basically were made just to they were made private so they could privately discuss Tess and her transgressions against her fan community without fear of retribution, because Tess and her friends apparently were going around and, you know, getting in arguments and deleting stuff that they didn't like, that they saw online. I'm not saying any of these things are true. I have no personal way of knowing if any of these claims are true or not, but a lot of people had stories that make you wonder. They talked about Tess being, you know, some of them claimed to be models that have worked with her on shoots before, or photographers, and they claimed her having a diva attitude, wanting her photos, like, you know, way retouched and stuff like that, which kind of goes against her whole F your beauty standards thing. And most importantly, just things about scamming other charities or scamming her fans outright, like having them pay for things and then not delivering. And a lot of this stuff is backed up by screenshots, and I will link them down below. And finally, after months of all this controversy, after people not receiving their merchandise, trying to figure out what was going on, and having Tess block them and delete their comments and stuff like that, Tess does this interview with Refinery29 after the heat just got to be too much, I guess. And it is the most pandering, fluffy, like, explanation and interview ever, where they just basically pat her hand the whole time and say, "You poor brave thing," while she, like, cries her crocodile tears into her giant, like, I don't know, $100 bill hanky. First of all, the original title of the piece was something about, oh, Tess is being bullied, or like how Tess Holliday deals with being bullied by haters online. And after all the facts came out, then the title got switched to Tess Holliday Comes Clean. So I think that's really interesting. And the main things that really messed with me about reading this interview is that Tess never once apologizes. She never once says she is sorry to the people who got screwed over, and that's really messed up. Her excuse is basically that it was too many orders, it was too overwhelming for her and her little operation, and she eventually, like, passed the responsibility on to a fulfillment service, and they were responsible for everything after that. It wasn't her fault, and she spent up all the money by hiring someone else to handle the orders for her, and that is why she never was able to donate to a charity, even though she claims gloatingly in one comment, there's a screenshot of that she, you know, makes six figures, and she's posting pictures of going to, like, you know, fancy dinners and salons and Disneyland every other day. It just really put a bad taste in my mouth the way she was playing the victim, and the inherent racism and implied immunity there, that, like, because I'm famous, because I'm visible, because I'm, you know, white, let's face it, like, this is all just gonna roll off of me. And from what people have told, stories about her going back, like, this is nothing new for her. She has done stuff like this before, shady stuff where she hasn't delivered, and so, you know, why wouldn't she feel like she can just get away with it forever? If this were a person of color, or, you know, any other, like, internet celebrity or anything, I do not think she would be, like, sliding out of this so easily. And it really disturbs me and disgusts me that so many women in the plus size community are, like, rushing to defend and, I don't know, celebrate her in this really disgusting thing she was involved in. And I think it's all just because they know, like, hey, fat women are on finally. Like, we finally have a representative who looks good and is making us look good, so we can't drag her down. She has to, like, stay, you know, on this pedestal. And I think that's bullshit, to be honest. It's like, no matter who someone is, they need to be held accountable if they do fucked up stuff. Nobody is perfect. Everybody needs to be held accountable, no matter what they represent. And it's not so much the stuff that went down, the, like, not delivering of merchandise, that started this whole thing. Like I said, people make mistakes. Bad stuff happens. Let's say everything that Tess claims is the truth, that all of this stuff really did transpire against her and prevented her from completing her orders. Still, you should apologize. You were responsible. That's the part that makes me the angriest about it, is not so much the fact that all this stuff happened, but her reaction to it. The fact that she would rather play the victim, the fact that she won't issue a real apology, and she just kind of blames everyone else. And she ends the interview by saying, like, oh, what could we women accomplish if we were, you know, supportive of each other rather than dragging each other down? And it's like, what could we accomplish if women weren't scamming each other? You know, because that's what you did. You took advantage of other women. There are probably men who bought these shirts and stuff too, but this movement is mostly all about women because it's mostly women in our society that are held to these ridiculous beauty standards. So the fact that you're screwing over women with this guise of going against these beauty standards that, you know, it's just, it blows my mind. It is so messed up on so many levels. I think that's the other part about the whole Tess situation that really bothers me, is a lot of what Tess does and a lot of her photo shoots and what she stands for and everything. She is all about upholding beauty standards, not knocking them down. It's like the only difference between her and a mainstream model is that she is fat and she is short, and there are plenty of other models that are also short, like Kate Moss and whatever. So, you know, it's like, I think that's why she's so acceptable and digestible to the world at whole. Yes, she gets a lot of hate. Yes, she gets a lot of bullies. But if she didn't get a lot of love and a lot of acceptability, we wouldn't be seeing her everywhere all the time, would we? She is beautiful and she is white, and, you know, she just happens to be fat, and fatter than, like, other plus size models have been. And if anything, she is like a novelty to the fashion and the beauty world at whole, I guess. It's their way to say, like, oh, look, we're being inclusive too. We can't, you know, we have a fatty, we just can't have a fatty that's, like, too ugly, or that's, like, you know, dark skinned or anything like that. And I don't know. It's like, I want to see more representation in the body positive movement. I want to see, you know, like, really fat fatties, like death fats. I want to see people of color. I want to see queer people. I want to see trans people. I want to see, you know, non-able bodies. I expect so much more out of my movement, and this F your beauty standards crap, it is not measuring up. I reject it as a representation of the body positive movement, and I reject Tess Munster / Holliday as my idol, as my representative. And if anyone out there is feeling any type of way, if you feel like, you know, I have talked to certain people who feel that they are disappointed and let down by Tess kind of showing her true colors, and they feel like, you know, this was my first fat role model that I had, and she really let me down, and I can't support her anymore, and they feel kind of lost. But let me tell you, you don't really need a role model. It's like, a role model is nice to have. It is nice to see yourself represented in media and stuff, but unfortunately, a lot of marginalized people who are not, you know, thin, white, able-bodied, beautiful, we don't get that, and we just have to make ourselves. And that's what I want to impress upon you, is that Tess didn't do shit for you. She may have turned you on to the body positive movement, and she may have, like, given you that initial little spark to, like, start loving yourself and looking into, you know, the body positive movement. And that's great. That's probably the greatest thing that could come out of all this mess. But you did everything else. You did all the work on yourself. She didn't do any of that for you. So keep that in mind. You know, you create yourself and what you want to be. So focus on that. Focus on you. Focus on creating you. You don't need Tess or any other role model to do that for you. You create yourself. And I think that's the most important thing to take away from this. You can be the most beautiful person ever on the outside, and you can espouse all these beautiful ideals or whatever, but your actions speak way louder than words. And these actions in this case were very ugly. And like I said before, there are screenshots, there are people who have talked about all this stuff way more eloquently than me, or have written about it, and I will provide links down below so you can read all the evidence about this Tess Holliday situation and make a decision for yourself. And if after reading all of the info, all the information, and you still feel like you support Tess and you want to defend her, that's fine, that's your prerogative. But I guess I would just want to know why you feel the need to, I guess, protect her so much, why you feel that you need Tess to represent you or the body positive movement or the fat acceptance movement, and just really ask yourself that, think about that. Anyways, I would love to know what you guys have to say about this. Let me know in the comments down below. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you would like to, please go ahead and click that subscribe button. I would love to have you here with me on my channel and my coven of beautiful spookies. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember that you are beautiful just the way you are, and to always be yourself. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!